My name is Jonah Jonathan, and welcome once again to the Jazz Musician's Voice. I originally did this interview with Harold Mabern in 2011 in the basement of Smoke Jazz Club, and if you haven't already heard, Harold Mabern recently passed away this last week at the age of 83. Just an amazing pianist and educator, and really one of the mainstays on the jazz scene. And I decided to repost this interview as one interview because when YouTube first came out, you could only put up videos up to 15 minutes long. So the videos were split into three. So this interview is about 25 minutes long, and we talk about a lot of great things that, to my knowledge, Harold has hardly ever talked about on camera. So I hope you check out this interview, check out Harold Mabern. I've got a lot of videos of Harold Mabern up on YouTube, so please check those out and realize that, yeah, really one of the mainstays, one of the last of his generation passed away. So we should all be thinking about Harold and his family and the William Patterson family. And thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for future videos and interviews. And once again, I'm Jonah Jonathan, and thanks for watching.
So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I have the wonderful opportunity of interviewing jazz pianist Harold Mabern. Harold, could you tell us how you first started in music? I know it was a very long time ago, but...
Well, I always tend to say that music chose me. I didn't choose it because of the fact that I'm self-taught.
Okay.
I never took piano lessons, unfortunately. There was nobody in my family played music, in my immediate family.
Okay.
However, I had a lot of uncles and cousins who sang in the church choir and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I started one day at the age of 15. I heard a young girl playing a song on all the black keys. We used to call it "I Stuck My Dollar in the Mud." And I went up and played the same song, just, like that. Then I kind of learned how to play a song called "The Honey Dripper."
Okay.
And then when I went to Douglas High School, I wanted to play an instrument, but I couldn't get a sound out of the trumpet, so I played drums, and they switched me to baritone horn.
Wow.
And
okay.
I transferred to Manassas High School. That's when I met Frank Strozier.
Okay.
And Professor Gadd, D.D. Bridgewater's father, Matthew Gadd, was our teacher. He was a trumpet player, so he taught me, Booker Little, Frank Strozier, George Coleman, Hank Crawford, Lewis Smith, Charles Lloyd, Isaac Hayes, a few others. So he said, well, maybe you ought to try the piano. I said, well, I really don't know how to play the piano. So he showed me a few chords, and I just kind of picked it up little by little.
Yeah.
But I really didn't get into it all the way until I left Memphis and moved to Chicago, and that's when I really, got into it.
So when you moved to Chicago, I understand you played there in the late 50s.
1954 to 1959.
Okay, and what were some of the groups you played with?
Well, the main group, it was three main groups there during that time. They were making what we call hit records. Ahmad Jamal's trio, Ramsey Lewis trio, and Walter Perkins' group called the MJT Plus 3.
Okay.
And there were three or four different groups.
Group, right?
But I played with that group. The group I played with was much more successful, commercially speaking.
That's
Frank
great.
Strozier, Bob Crenshaw, Willie Thomas, Walter Perkins. There was a trumpet player named Bobby Bryan had written a song for us called "Sleeping." It really turned out to be like a jazz hit.
Okay.
10,000 copies. And then after we left Chicago, we came to New York because we had work in New York at Berlin and different places.
That's great. Yeah. So you were already successful before you came to New York.
Well, as successful as we could be. In other words, we had a little reputation. People knew about Cannonball, knew about us, and Miles, because they would come out to see us rehearse,
That's great.
So we had a little name. We didn't come to New York just totally unknown.
That's wonderful. So you always tell us the story. One of the first nights you came, something about your first night in Birdland.
Yeah, true story. First night in Birdland, I was going to Birdland, and Cannonball was standing out in front of the club, unfortunately taking a cigarette break. I say unfortunately because, the cigarettes are rough. But anyway, so he saw me and he said, "Hey, Big Hands, you want a gig?" I said, "Sure." I thought he meant with him, so he took me down to Birdland. So Pee Wee Marquette, like the Medi D guy, he looked up at me and said, "Where you going, Papa?" Called everybody Papa. "Where you going, Papa?" So Cannonball said, "Well, he's with me. So Pee Wee said, well, tell me something, because this Boyd land, you don't come walking in no Boyd land like nobody knows about you down here. So this was a Tuesday night. True story, man. Harry Sweets Edison was playing with this quintet with Tommy Flanagan, Jimmy Forrest, Gene Ramey, and Elvin Jones. Tommy was getting ready to leave to go join Jay-Z's band. And then on that Tuesday night, everybody was there. Red Garland, Cedar Walton, Bill Lee, Quincy Jones, Tommy Flanagan, Bobby Timmons, Cannonball, Bill Russell. Oh, you name it, man. And Hank Jones was probably coming over later because he was on staff at CBS at their Sullivan Show.
Okay, so you were there at the right place at the
right time. So, but I still had to play the song. Sweet, he introduced me to Sweets. So Sweet said, "You want to play?" I said, "Yeah, man. I'm nervous, shaking." He didn't ask me, "What do you want to play?" He said, "Habit, 8-bar introduction, A flat." I said, "What the heck is Habit?" So I knew how to play 8-bar introduction. So I played 8-bar introduction, and Sweets came in. The song was getting to be a habit with you, old standard.
Okay.
So I kind of fumbled the first course. Second course I had it. He said, he got the gig. He hired me on the spot.
That's great.
And I came right back to Chicago.
Okay.
Worked 2 weeks at the Blue Note.
Okay, great. Yeah. So after that, you went on to work with some really great names, including Jimmy Forrest, obviously.
Right.
And you worked with Lionel Hampton.
Right. That was my next big gig, Lionel Hampton, when I came back from Chicago.
And how was it playing with Lionel?
It was very interesting because it was big band, and I was kind of felt good because I had played with a big band in Chicago, Morris Ellis Big Band, so they gave me a chance and the experience that I need to read some kind of music. So it worked out good.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So then you moved on. You worked with Donald Byrd.
Right.
And then eventually Miles.
Right. That came in '63. I was working with Roy Haynes, and then I played with Betty Carter at Birdland for 2 weeks, and then that's when Miles called and wanted me to make that tour with him.
Okay, yeah, and I know it was relatively short, but
yeah.
Could you tell us about some of the things that you learned or heard from him, or some of the experience you had?
Well, it was quite a gig. The only thing is, during the time, Miles was into the mold thing, which was cool. He's playing 251, but during that time, I didn't really have a real concept of the mold, which involved a lot of the clusters and stuff. And I mentioned that Professor Morgan Miller, he said, well, look, man, there were a whole lot of piano players that didn't quite understand it, but I look back at it now, and it seems so easy now. Yeah, but he was very supportive of me, and he said, you sure can swing. Well, anybody tell me that I can swing, that's a compliment to me. If they say I can swing and or comp, then I don't have no problem with anything else.
Well, Miles Davis.
But we had a quality 6 weeks. Ron, Frank Strozier, George Coleman, Jimmy Cobb, and then Tony Williams, and Herbie got in the band after I left the tour.
That's great. Yeah. So then later after that, you worked with J.J. Johnson.
Right. Shortly after that, 1963, I worked with J.J.
Okay. And
we did a beautiful record together called Proof Positive.
Great. So, and then one of the other major names you played with was Lee Morgan.
Oh yeah, that was my man. That was my main man.
That was, I'm a great fan of your work with Lee.
Right.
Could you speak to people about Lee?
Well, he was a trumpet genius, man. He understood everything about music, facet. He could have been a great classical trumpeter if he wanted to, because anything you put in front, he could sight read it.
Okay.
Not a perfect. Yeah. And plus, he was great at writing great compositions with great titles. Plus, he'd do a lot of dates, and at the end of the day, they might need one tune, and he'd come up with a hit like Sidewind. That was on the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Last tune, they need, and when we did the Gigolo, we need another tune, and he came in with the arrangement on You Go to My Head.
That's
a lot of musicians still play that. Yeah, he was a musical genius, man, and he treated me so good. He let me record my music. That gave me a chance to build my publishing up. He recorded Benny Hopper's music, Benny Maupin's music, Jimmy Mayer's music. He was a very unselfish kind of person, man.
That's wonderful.
He was really wonderful.
Yeah, and I remember. This might be a little difficult to talk about. You said you were on the gig the night that Lee Morgan passed. Could you speak a little bit about your experience after that? Because I know. Could you tell people from your perspective what happened that night on the gig? Because I know that must have been very.
It was very painful. Without going into the details, because I try not to talk about it, but. After that happened, because nobody knew anything like that was going to happen. But after that happened, man, I was, my stomach, my whole system was messed up for a whole month.
Yeah.
To see something like that happen, because we had played a good set There was a lot of snow on the ground. And that was one of the reasons why he didn't get a chance to survive, because it took so long for the ambulance to get there. Normally, they could have been there in 2 or 3 minutes, but because of the magnitude of the snow, it took so long, you know. But man, it took me a long time to deal with that, because to see that happen to somebody that you're so close to, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went to his service in Philadelphia. And I'll never forget, rest his soul, Kenny Durham, man, bless his heart. He was sick then. He checked himself out of the hospital to go to the thing to attend Lee's funeral. That's the kind of camaraderie that the guys had then. It's not like that with a lot of younger cats now. Those guys loved and respected each other. You know?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, Lee is personally my favorite trumpet player.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, obviously he's coming out of Clifford Brown.
Right.
But, you know, Lee, to me, just has this wonderful blues feel and behind the beat feel. But
very charismatic, just like Miles Davis. That's why Miles dug him. Because he was a trendsetter. You know?
What do you think was your favorite session with him? Because I know you made a few.
Well,
with him.
I would say my favorite is the Gigolo, mainly because that's the only time I recorded with Wayne Shorter. That's the only time. And since Wayne was on it, because Wayne, as you know, is such a wonderful human being, and Lee loved Wayne, so I would say that's one of my favorites because of the fact that Wayne was on the date. Then naturally, those dates at Live at the Lighthouse. And the Procrastinator and a couple other ones, you know, and the last one we did, you know. But I would say the Gigolo, because we had some good moments on that date, you know. Yeah.
So back at that time in New York, can you tell us a little bit about how the scene was as far as jam sessions and how cats treated other cats? How was it back then? Because
very little pettiness. That's what I'm saying. Jam sessions all the time. And at Birdland on a Monday night, you live for the time where you could get your own group as a youngster. You become the leader of your own group. And you'd make, I think, the leader's fee, you make $18. And the sideman might make $15, but that was big money. But see, it was camaraderie everywhere. I'd go up to count bases, maybe stay all night to play one tune. Next week, I'd go up and play 3 tunes. Next week, a set. So it was music everywhere. And like I said, the guys got along very well with each other, man. You know, they truly, Bobby Timmons, one of my main men. Cedar Walter, you know, and guys were not selfish. They would exchange ideas. You know, sometimes we'd go to the fire spot, me and Sonny Clark, Dr. Billy Taylor, and exchange ideas. Long after Thelonious is gone. Then sometimes me, Paul Chambers, Wilbur and Sonny Clark would go down to the fire spot, and I treated them all to hot dog because I was the only one who had some money, you know. So that was the scene then. Paul was a wonderful, nice guy, man. And we used to play together in Chicago at Bill Lee's house. He and Bill Lee were very close because they both was soloing with that bow. That's how Bill Lee ended up coming up with the New York-based violin choir.
Bill Lee, I'm going to do an interview with him next week.
So the climate was great, man. The climate was great.
Okay, well, now, you also played with Wes Montgomery.
Right.
And
that was really a joy.
You told me that his music was very, very challenging.
Very challenging. Because of the fact Wes didn't read music, he might play anything in any key, and most of those keys were those sharp keys. F sharp minor, D flat minor, E minor, you know. So I had to match what he was doing, you know.
Okay. You know, that must have been a lot of a good learning experience.
Excuse me. It was. It was.
Okay. So now, moving on, you are well renowned for being almost a natural educator at William Patterson University. Could you tell us about how you first got into teaching and how you got connected with William Patterson?
Well, here again, I didn't choose it. It chose me. I did a concert with Louis Hayes Quartet with Frank Strozier.
Okay.
And probably Stafford James. So we go out to William Patterson to do that study. So Dr. Criven saw me, and he knew Frank Strozier very well. And he said, "You think Harold Mabern would like be interested in teaching out here?" So he said, "Well, talk to him and see what happens." So he approached me.
Okay.
This was in like 1981. I said, "Sure." So that's how that happened. And I've been there for almost 31 years.
And,
because, you know, when you teach, you learn.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, for people who don't know, I also studied under you at
one of my prior students, yeah.
Would you tell people about how you met your protege, who is, of course, Eric Alexander, and how you guys developed a relationship at William Patterson?
Well, same thing here again. He was at the end of Indiana University. And Professor David Baker had told Rufus Reed, "I got this young saxophone player, man. I think you'd like him in your program.
Okay.
Rufus was still there then before James Reed.
Rufus was
So he came in, and so naturally, you don't know what students you're going to get. So it just so happens that they assigned Eric to my group because, you know, in 30 years I've been there, I don't use the fake book. I might use the fake book at the end of the 12 weeks, just, you know, because a lot of stuff in the fake books is a little bit on the suspect side. So I said, this is your fake book year. Bird didn't use no fake book. Earl got, you know. So they put Eric in my class, and I had him play Embrace with You. Never played it before. And when I heard him play that, I said, oh, man. I said, this is an A student here. I didn't tell him that. It's just the way he was playing it, you know.
Yeah.
And the only thing I regret, I always tell the students, I'm sure I told you, always have your tape recorder. Yeah. This is one time the so-called teacher didn't take his own advice because what he played, I can't go back and get it because it's gone. But when I heard him play that, and I knew then that I had something, so I told him 3 things. I said, learn all your standards and all the keys, and go see George Coleman. He didn't say, why? He took 2 lessons from George, and the rest, you know the rest. and I guess he'd say, I went out of my way to encourage him. It was no big deal for me to do that. I just did what I felt was the right thing to do. So now, over the years, we formed a relationship, you know.
That's great, and you guys play together a lot.
Yeah, it kind of like we are one person because we know each other so well.
That's great, you know, to develop that partnership.
Yeah, telepathic, as they say.
Okay, well, Harold, nowadays on the scene, a lot of cats believe that there are things that are going on, such as the issue of paid musicians. You know, there's a consensus that the amount of pay that cats were paid back in the day has not increased. So back in the day, cats were being paid $50 for a gig, and now they're still being paid $50 a gig, where the money is actually the inflation has come about.
Right. Well, you know, it's hard for me because, see, my situation is different, being the fact that one thing, I'm of Social Security age.
Yeah.
So that's a step right where, unless they, you know, and plus with my teaching stuff, even though, you know, 6 months a year, I have that to come through. And over the years, I've kind of built up, like I say, between George Coleman and Eric and John Farnsworth and Joe Farnsworth, it kind of keeps me kind of, you know, I'm not getting rich quick, but it keeps me kind of busy. But as far as the relationship, as far as what the standard is, as far as the pay, I guess, you know, you got some jobs are a little bit less than others, but, you know, I guess you have to get to the point where it's not about I'm working for scale or I'm working for the door. I'm working for what I'm worth. You know, you call, what kind of money we talking about? This is my price, and they take it or leave it, you know. So I know it's different than with the inflation now, but as Sonny Red used to say that, well, a little bit of money beats no money at all. That was his philosophy. In other words, and he used to say, where you either appearing or disappearing. No, you don't want to be grossly underpaid all the time or taken advantage of, but I figure like this, if you're in a club or somewhere and you're playing, you got a pretty good chance because you never know who's in that club. Say you work in a club where you're only making $50 a night. You never know who's in that club. Some big record producer or some big TV or movie producer might just say, who's that young man? Who's that young lady? Oh, man, say, hey, have you ever been in a movie? Have you know? So your chance to play, so what you might lose out on in income, you got a chance when you're showing yourself, you know.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, that's, you know.
So, all your time here in New York, you've been in New York for...
November 21st, 1959.
Very long time.
Long time.
Well over 50 years.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what you think the biggest thing is that has changed in jazz, you know, from your time here? What's the biggest change that you've experienced from New York back then and New York now?
Well, musically speaking, the only biggest change that I know, other than the fact that most of my elders are gone. See, when I was a youngster, we respected our elders, like the Papa Joe Jones, like the Bud Johnsons, the Harry Sweet Sutton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the younger cats don't respect us, but a lot of it is missing because a lot of them think they know as much as we do. And first of all, they can't be. Because first of all, you haven't been around that long. You know what I'm saying? Because if you call one tune in a different key, then those guys who stick in the chat, it becomes silent night. Yeah. Especially some of the piano players. I'm just telling the truth, see, and I always say, play for singers, then you learn how to play music. If you play piano, because you can't hide when you play piano. I don't care how soft you play, you got to know what you're doing. So the biggest change is that most of my heroes are gone, And I'd like to see the younger cats not necessarily look up to us, but pick our brains, ask us questions like we did, because that's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way you're going to formulate or get your so-called own sound or style. You're not going to get it by standing at home and saying, well, baby, I got my own thing. No, you don't. Tony Williams said there's no such thing as your own thing. That's why Tony Williams, because Tony Williams knew the difference between the top and the bottom. When you said drums, Tony Williams said, I start with Max Roach and our Buddy Rich. Then I worked down. Some of these guys said, who you like on alto? He called a whole bunch of them. I said, what about Charlie Parker? Oh, I'm into him too. I said, but you didn't say that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's missing. But overall, there are a lot of bright spots with a lot of the young cats, and including you. I see you're going to be doing some great things if given a chance. But here's the thing. None of us, even in my time, we don't control it. It's up to the so-called powers to be.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
You could be a genius, but if the powers to be say, oh, ain't nothing happening, there you go. Because people sometimes are so fickle, they read whatever they read, they think it's the truth, and it's not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, just to tell people who are watching this, you play frequently at Smoke,
right?
Especially on Monday nights now,
right?
And you know, I really think people should take advantage of that. Definitely come check and learn from you, and you playing in the sessions, and it's hopefully people will come and learn from such a master.
So I try to give back to the community, like people encourage me. Hank Jones was one of my biggest encouragers. You know, Dr. Billy Taylor. It's one thing for somebody to support you or promote you. Well, if somebody promoting you, you don't need nobody to promote you. But when somebody encourages you, to me, that's more important, because that means when everybody says, oh, ain't nothing happening, and somebody say, hey, man, keep on doing what you're doing, you're okay. That's what Hank Jones and Dr. Billy Taylor did for me. They always looked out for me, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I also go to the Union on Monday night. Now, the quality of the musicianship is not like it's Smoke, but I play a tune and I try to talk to them and tell them,
too, right?
Yeah, I try to tell them, say, look, man, learn how to transpose. If you play along together in D minor, next week learn it in E flat minor or D flat minor.
Yeah.
That's because the jam session is a learning process. That's what was happening in Chicago when I was there. It was music everywhere. And if I had a song that I knew and I got my behind kicked, the next week I knew it in all the keys. See, Bob Clash and I used to talk that if any group came to Chicago, we knew everybody's music. No, not bragging, no fake book. How did we do it? Because we listened. Anybody that came to town, if Horace Stevens came to town, I could play. This was the fake book. And that's how we learned, see? So it stays with you.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
So with that, you know, you started talking about the younger cats not being like how the cats used to be, and not wanting to learn from their the masters before them.
Exactly.
What do you think about the current cats who are going to music school? Because there's a lot of young musicians coming out of school. They're going to college, they're learning in school, whereas opposed to back in the day, you learned on the bandstand.
Right.
What do you think about that as from your perspective?
Schooling is good. I wish I could have gone to music school. I wish I could have studied some Chopin etude stuff, so I have no problem with that. But that's only an enhancement.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go to play. Like I said, Monte Alexander didn't go. Wes Montgomery, Buddy Montgomery didn't go. Earl Garner didn't go. And the list goes on. I didn't go. I mean, you see.
Yeah.
But it's just an enhancement. But if you don't go, you can still survive. But if you go, at least try to get your degree, then that just at least puts you in a little better position. So if you decide you want to teach and they say, well, what kind of degree do you have? Then at least you got something to fall back on.
Yep.
But you don't necessarily have to go to school to learn, you know.
Sure. So you are well known in Japan and in Europe. But unfortunately nowadays not really as well known here in the States.
Right.
Could you speak to us about how it is playing there in Japan, and how they accept you, and why you think it is that they appreciate?
Well, here it is. Long story short, I always say that when we go to Europe, the Europeans love us. They love us. But when we go to Japan, the Japanese people idolize us, and you're not supposed to idolize nobody but the Most High. They'll spend $100 for a cover charge, young people, and don't complain. Now, you might have to sign 100 LPs, but see, the music is more important to them than it is here, unfortunately, in this country. This country is culturally deprived because What do they listen to? Garbage, Lady Gaga and all that. Come on, I don't want to get started. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why we love going over there, man, because we know Joe Newman, one of my biggest heroes years ago, talked about it when he got off the plane over there. He went over with Benny Carter. He said, brought tears to his eyes. It was thousands and thousands of people at the airport to greet them before. So this stuff has been going on for a long time.
Sure.
That's why it's worth that 14 hours to go there, because you know how you're going to be received when you get there. And it should be like that here. I mean, I'm thankful for the few jazz fans we do have in this country, but it could be much better. But like Johnny Griffin said years ago, this music is not for the mass. In other words, this is not dumb music. This is for smart people. You know, if you got a dumb brain, you know, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you said Joe Henderson could speak 10 languages once, right?
Well, I don't know if I said Joe here, but there was a pianist named Oscar Denard who taught Cannonball. He could speak 10 different languages fluent. You know, Kenny Garrett speaks the Japanese language very well. So does Jeff Keyser. Dr. Willie Ruff had been speaking the Chinese language for over 50 years. So everybody is into something other than music. I keep forgetting Josh Redman has 2 degrees. One from MIT and somewhere else. You know, Herbie Hancock's made electrical engineer. Keith Jarrett did the Goldberg variations behind Glenn Gould, and the classical pianist say, wow, gee whiz. You know, Hubert Laws, when things get tight, he go out on a classical tour with Jean-Pierre Rampal. You see? Jazz musicians are the smartest people in the world, man, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
Because we can do everything that they can do, but they can't do what we can do. You know, we can learn how to become a computer expert quicker than they can learn how to say Now, if you write it down, they say you know, that's not put down. That's just where it is. So being a jazz musician, man, is a special blessing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks so much for
my pleasure
for speaking to us. Last thing, do you have anything that you would like to say to people who are watching this? Do you have anything in particular that you feel people would do better to hear?
Well, all the thing I can say to the people, thank you for coming out, but support your music and learn to think for yourselves. Don't go by what the critics say, because most critics, you know, they have a job to do, but at least be fair. Most critics are frustrated and want to be musicians. That's just the truth. They'll write some stuff, and you say, well, man, what music was he listening to? I don't recall that at all. See, what a critic should do, if you're a critic, you should come to the club, because most critics get in free anyway. That's just the way it is, and have dinner lines. What they should do, come bring your tape recorder, tape what they hear, and when they get through, say, Mr. Mabern, Mr. whoever it is said, let me play this, said, play it back and said, now when you did this, what did you have in mind? Then we can tell them what, and then they can write around that. But most critics, they don't know, man. They just write some stuff. Or they give you a left-handed compliment. They'll say, oh, wow, gee whiz, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, they say, but, then they take it away. Because so that's where a critic should do. Get your tape recorder, because they're not the experts, we are. You know.
Well, that's why I'm trying to do, as myself, a musician interviewing musicians.
Right.
Because, I can ask questions that normal cats
because you're the expert. This is your livelihood. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about.
Well, thanks a lot, Professor.
Thank you.
You know, where can people check you out besides?
Well, mostly up here. Maybe the program will change, but I'm going to Europe in a couple of weeks, Sweden. Then I'm coming back and I'm going to Australia around August 12th. So, you know, here and there, but mostly at smoke, as they say.